Chapter 1. 1969 was never about the moon landing. It was about a much darker exit strategy. While the world watched Neil Armstrong's footprints, Gerard O'Neill was sketching a tomb for millions. A vision of cities where God intended nothing. Earth was a dying organism in his mind. He didn't want a new planet to live. He wanted to build an artificial God. A blueprint for a completely manufactured existence. This wasn't a dream for a better future. It was a cold evacuation of the human soul. Hidden behind the prestige of Princeton University walls, he drew the lines of a planetary cage. A pressurized shell floating in the absolute void. Think about a world with no natural sky. Only a painted ceiling reflecting a fake sun. The silence of 1969 was actually a scream. A desperate plan to abandon our mother planet. We were never meant to leave the soil. But O'Neill saw us as laboratory rats, living inside a spinning tube of recycled air. He called it progress, but it felt like exile. A radical desperation born from a cold intellect. Every line on his paper was a funeral. A funeral for the wind and the rain. Why would a genius want to trap us? What did he know that we didn't? The blue marble was suddenly not enough. He saw a graveyard in the stars. And he decided to move us inside. This was the birth of the high-tech coffin. A blueprint designed to erase our biological history. We are children of the sun and dirt. O'Neill wanted us to be children of aluminum. A sterile life in a silent vacuum world. Chapter 2, Forbidden Geometry. The location was the first terrifying choice. They targeted the Lagrange points in deep space. Specifically L5, where gravity becomes a trap. Once you enter this point, you stay forever. You are locked in a permanent cosmic cage. This was not a small orbital station. It was a cylinder 20 miles long. A massive iron lung rotating in the dark. It spins at lethal speeds to simulate gravity. It mimics the Earth to trick your bones. But the weight is just a physical lie. A cage of spinning mirrors and thick glass. Inside, the horizon curves upward until it closes. You look up and see the other side. You see neighbors walking upside down above you. A geometry that breaks the human mind's balance. Why build something so unnaturally vast and hollow? Because the void outside is looking for a leak. A single structural crack means instant biological erasure. The atmosphere would vanish into the black abyss, leaving behind only frozen statues of former humans. This is the mystery of the L5 graveyard. A place where help is days of travel away. You are isolated in a tube of shadows, surrounded by the infinite pressure of nothingness. O'Neill knew the risks of this forbidden shape. He designed it to be a self-contained prison. No escape pods can reach a dying Earth. No rescue comes to the L5 points. You are the architect of your own isolation. A spinning miracle that is also a nightmare. The geometry dictates who lives and who dies. Chapter 3, The Engineering of Terror. The hull is a thin layer of aluminum. Just a few inches between you and death. The absolute zero of space is touching you. Only a sheet of metal separates your blood. It is a fragile shield against solar radiation. You can hear the hum in your marrow. The radiation shields are constantly buzzing in silence. Listen to the resonance of the total vacuum. There is no real light in the cylinder. Only giant mirrors reflecting a blinding, filtered glare. A strobe light for $1 trillion ant farm. The sun is a calculated, mechanical lie. It turns on and off with a switch. The engineering of terror starts with the noise. A constant vibration from the rotating massive rings. You can never truly experience a silent night. The machine is always breathing under your feet. Every bolt and every weld is a witness. They witness the crushing pressure of the outside. The metal groans as it fights the void. It is a symphony of stress and tension. Engineers call it structural integrity, but it's fear. One micrometeorite can turn this into a vacuum. A tiny pebble traveling at 10,000 miles, piercing the skin like a hot needle through silk. Then the pressure drops and the screaming starts. This is the terror of a closed system. You trust your life to a welding torch. You breathe what the machine allows you to. It is a high-stakes game of survival physics. A masterpiece of horror built with slide rules. Chapter 4: The Synthetic Atmosphere. The air inside is a subscription service. You pay for every single gasp of oxygen, precisely measured by a cold, silicon brain. Every breath is managed by a massive pump. If the system fails, your lungs collapse. Gravity is an illusion of constant circular motion. Run too fast, and the entire world tilts. Your inner ear screams in the wrong direction. You are living inside a giant mechanical lung. A machine that decides when you can breathe. Think about the smell of recycled ozone. A sterile, metallic scent that never leaves you. There are no forests to scrub the air. Only chemical filters and humming carbon scrubbers. They call it life support for a reason. Without the support, life is over in seconds. What happens when the sensors start to lie? Or when the power grid flickers at night? You are trapped in a tube of ghosts. Even the water is a closed, filtered loop. You drink the same molecules for decades. A recycling of life and death in cycles. The atmosphere is a fragile, invisible cage. One spark can turn the cylinder into fire. One glitch can turn it into a tomb. This is the price of the synthetic sky. A world where nature is just a setting. Managed by a computer that feels no mercy. The pressure is a constant weight on your mind. You are thousands of miles from any real wind. The breeze you feel is just a fan. A giant turbine pushing stale air through vents. It never feels fresh, only filtered and cold. Humidity is controlled by a master switch today. Too much moisture and the walls begin to sweat. Condensation becomes a lethal enemy in the dark. It shorts out the wires behind the panels. It rots the very structure of your home. O'Neill envisioned a paradise of green parks. But he ignored the reality of mechanical decay. Rust is the silent killer of the space habitat. It eats through the joints while you sleep. You trust your children to a ventilation shaft. You trust your future to a digital valve. Every morning is a miracle of engineering survival. Every night is a gamble with a vacuum. There is no weather here, only system updates. Rain is just a nozzle spray from above. Lightning is a short circuit in the grid. You are a prisoner of a perfect climate. A climate that can be turned off anytime. The ultimate control over the human biological state. Chapter 5: The Cascade Failure. Imagine the massive rotation slowly losing speed. The artificial weight begins to vanish instantly. Buildings tear from their thin metal foundations. People fall toward the hollow, dark center. Total chaos inside a closed metal loop. There are no escape pods for millions. No blue earth to return to anymore. You are a captive of the centrifugal force. Structural echoes begin to scream in the vacuum. A secret incident is waiting to happen now. Something already broke in the dark silence. O'Neill knew the math of the ultimate disaster. A single resonance frequency can shatter the glass. The mirrors would rain down like diamond knives, cutting through the synthetic parks and plastic homes. Imagine the pressure dropping to absolute zero. Your blood boils before you can even scream. This is the cascade failure of the dream. A chain reaction that nobody can stop. One bolt snaps and the cylinder folds. Like a soda can crushed by a giant. We are gambling with the laws of physics. And the house always wins in deep space. The vacuum is patient and very hungry. It waits for the smallest human mistake. A microscopic tear starts a subsonic whistle. It is the sound of your life escaping. At first, it sounds like a distant flute. Then it becomes a roar of escaping pressure. The steel structure begins to groan and twist. Internal walls collapse under the shifting gravity loads. You are floating in a soup of debris. Sharp metal shards flying at high speeds. The light goes out as the mirrors break. You are trapped in a spinning, dark coffin. There is no up or down anymore. Only the cold pull of the central void. Emergency lights flicker with a dying orange glow. They reveal the terror on every face nearby. No one was prepared for the machine dying. They believe the brochures and the glossy math. But the void doesn't care about your math. It only cares about the physical breach. The cylinder begins to tear itself apart now. Centrifugal force becomes a weapon of mass destruction. It flings the remnants into the deep black. A trail of garbage where a city was. This is how the L5 dream ends. Not with a bang, but a whistle. Chapter 6, Legacy. O'Neill's dream remained on paper. A ghost of a future that almost breathed. Are we lucky it stayed unbuilt? The cylinder is still waiting in the blueprints. A high-tech coffin for a lost civilization. Watching our desperate attempt to build a god. We are orphans of a planet we killed. Seeking refuge in a hollow, metal lie. This is the legacy of the unbuilt space. A monument to our own terrifying ambition. Maybe the silence of 1969 was a warning. A warning that some frontiers are meant to stay. Some voids are too deep to be filled. But the blueprints are still in the files. Waiting for a new generation of desperate men. To build a world with no natural light. And a sky made of reinforced glass. The machine is ready to be born again. Are you ready to step inside the cylinder?